Come on, Socks. I'm sorry. I'm waking you up. I will tempt you with dreamies. Here we are. Okay, come on. Oh, hello everyone. Welcome back. It's Wednesday. It's midweek already. And we've been taking it a bit slower this week. We've been doing our paintings for the painting sale next week, Abstract Autumn in Levenshulme, and framing some small abstracts and some larger ones and putting them up in the pub and doing bits of work, finishing things off and getting ready to send things in. Come on. Projects that, again, I can't talk about, but I will shortly, I promise. Socks is here and he's going to talk, aren't you? He's not going to talk. There was a funny comment on the last video that I did about me impugning Socky's literacy skills and how he sulked in the video because I said he didn't really read the books with me. I think he's more discerning than I am, actually. He wouldn't read as much rubbish as I do, maybe. What do you think, Socks? Another comment talked about the Sean Hudson novels, and I'm halfway through this one now, Erebus, and I talked last time about finding the box load of his books in the car boot sale in Burnage, and how I didn't buy them all for 50p each, and how I had a feeling I was going to regret that. I only bought Slugs and Erebus. And somebody's comment, I forget who, sorry, somebody's comment on here said, I'd be surprised if, having read one of them, you decide you needed the rest, which is a very funny put down. But I'm really enjoying this. It's got everything I want at the moment in a schlocky, really gory, really tasteless, vulgar novel of the kind you would always find in motorway service cafes and shops. There'd always be a spinning rack of novels. Nowadays they're all Richard and Judy shit. The ordinary things that you see in any old bookshop, the paperbacks they're pushing, the 10 or 15 that the supermarkets push. Back in the day, you'd get the kind of paperback equivalent of video nasties, or the films on Netflix or Prime, you know, when you go right down the lists and you're looking amongst things you've never heard of, and you choose something and find something that might be a bit ropily made but is kind of gold dust. That's this kind of pulp fiction. This is about the use of chemical feed for animals, and how some kind of big American corporation is infecting this feed and feeding it out to animals and farms in this particular county. And we've got a local journalist who's American, who's run away from New York because she's got a hit out on her by the mob, and a farmer who of course end up having sex every few chapters. And the sex scenes are just hilarious because it's where everything's slightly misplaced because of slightly clumsy writing. So at one point it sounds like she's got an extremely hairy back, and he's got his penis growing somewhere inside his jacket, just because you try and picture what he's explaining and it just doesn't work. But it doesn't matter. All that kind of, the infelicities of the writing really don't matter. It's written with guts, literally at times, and some of the gorier scenes involving animals and animals attacking each other. So I do wish I'd bought the whole box. I'm obviously in a mood to read lots of schlock, which is fantastic. To that end, I've been picking up things from the shelves that might help me in that quest. I picked out a Guy N. Smith, which I don't think I've read. It's hard for me to tell which of these I haven't read because their order's not immediately apparent. This is a later one. I don't think I've read this one. It's Crabs on the Rampage. This isn't schlocky at all, but I do want to set aside some Fontana horror. I found another point horror amongst my stuff. And Dinar Kuntz I'm keen to read because we watched a movie adaptation of Phantoms the other night, which was so ludicrously bad. Even Peter O'Toole looked a bit abashed at some of the stuff he was being asked to do. Oh, and this is something I've meant to read for a long time. Simon Clarke's Night of the Triffids, the sequel to the novel that we all loved at school when I was about 13, and we read Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham at school, and we all knew the TV version inside out. And for some reason, this has sat on my shelf for donkey's years. Don't even know how long, and I've not got to it yet, which is stupid. I haven't got time enough in spooky October to read everything I want to read. It might spill over into November, but I'm quite enjoying the spookiness. While the mood lasts, I might suddenly lurch into wanting to be all sentimental and Christmassy, maybe. Earl Grey, that's my tea of choice at the moment. Now, here's some books from a small haul. We went out to Stockport on Monday just for a bimble about, as my friend Rylan calls it. And I picked up various things that, and I'm missing some things too that I bought, and I don't know where I've put them. I must have filed them away already for some reason. Anyway, Sarah Winman is somebody who I read her first novel. She was published by the same publisher, and she's done really well. Headline, about the time I was doing things, and I read the first one, and she came to talk at something at Manchester, and she was really nice. And for some reason, I've not gone back to the others. This is Still Life, which is a recent one. Yeah, I don't even know what it's about, but it looks like she's moving into that kind of epic, historical, bit arty, family history kind of territory, the kind of Rachel Hall kind of world. So it'll be nice to go back to reading her. And then Aunt Sass, Christmas Stories. This goes on my Christmas bookcase next door. P.L. Travers, published by Virago. They've dug out stories which aren't Mary Poppins and put them in these nice little hardbacks. I read one a couple of years ago, quite a few years ago now, about 10 years ago, it turns out. They did of, is it The Fox in the Manger? Another Christmassy story by her. These are 3 tales that they've taken from somewhere and put together in a nice volume. P.L. Travers, always worth reading. Oh, this this is Enchanting Animal Stories, a book from Octopus Books in the late 70s, maybe 1980. They did anthologies, but they also did compendiums, and my Alice in Wonderland came from Octopus Books. I rebought it in recent years, and that was the one I reread to do my own Doctor Who in Wonderland when I revisited Alice again. So these are very nostalgic for me, the kind of books that turned up in libraries, school libraries and downtown, and I just think they were nicely chosen. They took real care doing things. In this particular era, this is edited by Anthea Riddett and illustrated by Sally Stiff. This beautiful pen and ink work that would have been used just for this, and that would have been it. But I think the choice of things, there's a bit of P.L. Travers again, actually, and Saki, and Gavin Maxwell and Ring of Bright Water, some D.H. Lawrence, Charles Kingsley, the spookiest chapter from The Wind in the Willows, Paul Gallico, T.H. White, Gerald Durrell, and I sat and read in the cafe on Monday in Stockport. I read the chapter that came from Bambi by Felix Salten, and I'd read a piece about the original novel of Bambi and how great it was in recent times, and I can't think where that was, but it made me think I must have a look at that when I get a chance to see the original novel. And there's a particular moment to do with meeting the old stag from that, and it does read really well, actually. Can't believe, I don't know why it's not around more. Is it in print? I don't even know. Felix Salton, it's worth looking up. Then I got a couple of things from eBay. Things that I'd had my eye on or leapt out at me. Dead India. It's the first part of a graphic novel, or it's the graphic novel in a series, The Watcher's Test. This is by Hamish Steele, and it's got the most wonderful art. It's that kind of whole style that looks a bit like Adventure Time used to, and I don't know how to describe it really. I suppose it is. It's a bit like, I forget what that other series is called. That became a cartoon on Netflix, and so has this. And when I first heard about this, it was because that absolute cultureless idiot Elon Musk was raving about this cartoon on Netflix because it's got a trans hero, and he was saying something disgraceful, showing himself up and his ignorance on Netflix. And so this Hamish Steele, the artist and writer of this, who's young, he's young, and he was on Twitter saying, I'm going to get a lot of attention for this. And you could see the kind of excitement there in one way, that his work was getting all this attention because of a mention by somebody reprehensible, all the wrong reasons, but it's still publicity. But at the same time, he was going to get a lot of shit as well directed at him, and my heart went out to him. So I thought I was going to get myself a copy to find out what this was all about. And I've only read the first chapter, and it's delightful. It's crazy. It's a bit like being in a dream, which I think the best graphic novels are. This whole thing about the pug dog being taken over by an Aztec god and going evil in the middle of this theme park. So I'll see where it goes. I'm enjoying it so far. And I did actually order the second of these. I managed to find a really cheap copy of this. Do you remember I read the first one, the R.L. Stine Babysitters Collection? This is Point Horror Volume 2, the special editions, Diane Ho. The Fever, Funhouse, and The Invitation, a triple dose of terror. I love the fact they collect together really well-known books from the series in this. And as I said before, I'm making up for a misspent early adulthood in which I read mostly or only literary fiction when I was doing my PhD and writing literary novels. I'm reading stuff that was out at the same time that I would have enjoyed, I think, had I read it then. I even gave up reading Doctor Who books for a couple of years at that point. Fool. So that's kind of recent hauls, or a recent haul of stuff. And I'm trying to give myself time to read this month because I've hit my deadlines, I've got work in, I've written extra stuff, and I'm making plans for next year. I don't have the raft of commissions that I had last year, this year, or for last year for this year, if you see what I mean. Next year's looking a bit blank. Slightly worrying as a freelancer, so you have to make your own work. And one of the things I intend to do is to get my older books back into print. I've got a lot of titles that I've got the rights back to, and I want to work my way through and put them out on Amazon, on ebook and into paperbacks with nice new covers of paintings and stuff by me in a kind of uniform edition, and bring back things that haven't been around for a while. That's my idea, and I'm going to work through slowly, and I'll need everybody's support and patronage to do that. And I'm also thinking about writing some stories. I've got ideas that have been drifting around in my head that I need to nail down and write. There are a couple of commissions for things that I've got to do for those. Anyway, that's all work stuff, and I'm not really thinking about work. I'm thinking about painting and reading and getting out for a little walk this afternoon, and maybe dumping some books off at the little library at the station, because that was looking a bit empty the last time I went, and I could go and donate some things from here to make a little corner. Right, that's me. I've got my tea, my cat's asleep, and I will see you again quite soon. I hope everybody is keeping well and you're enjoying October. Okay, goodbye.